Hello, welcome to our Module 1 Lesson 4 of our CASP Plus course. On this lesson, we're going to talk about the following topics: data loss prevention, data loss detection, data lifecycle, and data backup. All right, so an organization must store and handle data with care, right? Simple and complicated networks will store and access data. Data includes private information, IP or intellectual property, and trade secrets. Regulatory compliance and legal regulations must be considered when storing and handling data. Important data must be tagged and categorized. Data loss must be prevented using safeguards and gaps must be reported, right? Then we must plan how to handle data at every stage from creation to disposal. We also need to know how storing data with business to business or B2B partners and cloud providers works. And we must protect data at rest, in transit, and in use. Now let's talk about data loss prevention. Preventative controls must be put in place to avoid the leaking or exfiltration of sensitive information. There are a variety of ways to meet this mandate. Policy can be used to guarantee that the necessary data handling and operational procedures are followed. If we have a next generation firewall or a UTM or Unified Threat Management appliance, we can apply a DLP filters at network egress points. It's possible that your cloud service provider offers cloud access security broker or CASB, which safeguards your organization's data when users connect to the cloud. Microsoft Office 365 provides this level of security through the use of pre-built rules and templates. All right. Now, there are several ways to avoid data loss, right? First is remote desktop blocking. So this is important, and it requires careful study and adequate security controls due to the extensive use of VDI or virtual desktop infrastructure there. And remote assistance capabilities. We can restrict the use of this technology by implementing robust authentication and authorization. Control should be developed to restrict session functionality if a remote desktop protocol or RDP, right? Let me put it here, is required to access a desktop for administration or business productivity. The following should be included in these safeguards. Next is the blocking external media. Controls for Windows Workstation, also known as GPO, right? Or group policy or local policy must be in place to prevent the local exfiltration of sensitive data. External storage on mobile devices can be blocked using mobile device management or MDM. Okay? It's not possible to use group policy on non-Windows systems such as Mac OS, Linux, and Unix. Thus, constraints can be addressed using scripting or configuration files. Third one is sprint blocking. It's critical to be aware of alternative methods of stealing data from computer systems. Restrictions on screen captures and printing of private information are also necessary. Try taking a screenshot of the screen in your mobile banking app to see if you can get any useful information. This activity will be inaccessible to you. DRM or digital rights management, right? Can be used on sensitive documents to prevent illegal printing. All right, let's now talk about data loss detection. Data loss prevention solutions or DLP cannot always be implemented in their entirety due to the possibility of a determined inside threat actor finding a workaround. It's possible that the goal here is to locate the potential danger. There are many ways that we can find out how the data was stolen from our company. First is watermarking, right? So here, documents can be checked out of an information system. However, an automatic watermark utilizing the identity of the user who checked out the document will be applied to the document if an organization wants to detect data theft or exfiltration. If the document is shared or printed, the user's identity will be clearly visible. It is also used to discourage the user from spreading protected content. Next is DRM, or digital rights management. Copyrighted protected digital content is safeguarded via digital rights management. A wide range of digital media can benefit from this technique. Videos, photos, books, music, and software code are all examples. Most of the time, it gives the copyright holder some kind of control over how their work is published and the ability to charge a fee for that work. Next is network traffic decryption and deep packet inspection, or DPI. Inspection of encrypted traffic may be necessary in particular situations. A popular implementation is a decryptor for the SSL, or secure socket layer. Decrypting the outgoing packets enables a company to apply corporate DLP policies. Because our consumers don't want their employers monitoring their links to their personal bank accounts, we need to use caution while using this technology. One strategy to take into account is the whitelisting of URLs. And next is the network traffic analysis. One of the most common methods for detecting data leakage or exfiltration is to analyze data flows, both in terms of volume and content. Using this data, we can identify unusual user behavior, such as uploading a large amount of research data to cloud data networks, or CDNs. Now let's talk about the data lifecycle. So here, right, there must be a strategy in place to manage data throughout its life cycle, from the time it is created or captured to the time it is no longer needed. We can't ensure good data governance unless we know what data we have, why it's important, and how to manage it. The stages of the life cycle depicted in this illustration are explained in detail. First is the create, right? So to begin, data must be generated or captured. It can be anything from documents and images to maps and GPS coordinates. Next is a store. The data must be stored in appropriate systems such as file shares, websites, databases, graph stores, and among other things. Third is use. So we must ensure that data governance is applied once the data is stored in our information system. Classifying, safeguarding, and preserving data are all part of this process. Compliance with legal and regulatory requirement is a must. Fourth is archive. So in order to comply with legal and regulatory requirements, data should be preserved. And the last one is destroy. So regulatory and legal requirements dictate when and how data should be deleted. No business benefit can be gained by retaining unnecessary data. In the event of a lawsuit, we may be more vulnerable as a business if we store data for too long. A legal halt necessitates that a company make all relevant records available in connection with the lawsuit. All right, now let's talk about data backups. So due to the modern hybrid computing's complexity, data backups and subsequent restoration can be a difficult task. Is the data located on-premise or in the cloud? Data backup and recovery is the responsibility of whom? Legal and regulatory requirements, as well as operational requirements for the actual routines, we will implement and must be considered when making backup plans. Consider data retention policy, right, or DRP, here, and business continuity planning, or BCP, right, especially in terms of recovery point objectives, RPOs. To back up a directory to a cloud storage service, you may only pay a few cents a month per gigabyte. So there's actually a couple of types of backups, right? And this is actually very important. So here, it can be incremental or differential backups, right? Which should be considered if working with limited time windows to complete daily full backups. So what's the difference between these three, right? First one is full backup. So every time you run a backup, it will create a new copy of everything in the backup set. In this case, the NAS array, NAS, right, or the network attached storage, could store 100 terabytes of information. Daily data backups could take a long time, especially when factoring in storage costs. Next is a differential backup, right here. A full backup and a differential backup are frequently used in tandem. On Friday, like for example, right, a full backup would be carried out as there is a lot of time available. Now, any changes made since Friday's full backup would be backup differentially every day by the backup system. In other words, the backup on Saturday should be much quicker than the backup that you did from Friday because it's a full backup. Now, the third one is the incremental backup. So, in addition to a full backup, it is common practice to perform an incremental backup as well. It is recommended to run a full backup on days with large amounts of free time, such as Sunday, and any changes that occurred since the previous incremental backup would be backed up each day. In this way, the amount of data stored and the time it takes to perform an incremental backup are roughly equivalent. Okay, that's the end of the lesson. Let's go to the casework. So here, right, I put here a list of DLP vendors, right? So the in our casework, I'd like you to research and review the key differentiators of the following data loss prevention vendors, right? So why this is important, right? So there will come a time that you have to decide, right, which vendor are going to use. Let's say if you want to put email security, of course, you have to put a DLP feature there. So it's best to at least be familiar with the strengths and weaknesses of this DLP vendors if you're proposing one for your company. Okay? All right. That's the end of the lesson. Here we spoke about data loss prevention, DLP, data loss detection, data lifecycle, and data backups. Thank you very much for watching the video.